What's up everybody? Simon here. In this video, we're going to talk about credit card debt hitting the highest limit it has ever hit in the United States. We're talking nearly $1 trillion. We're going to go over some ways that you can manage your credit card debt in this video, and I'll give you my perspective or my advice in regards to managing credit card debt, as well as my feeling towards what credit cards are doing to some of the households. Before I get into this video, please like, subscribe, it's free. Let's get into this video. Okay, so credit card debt in the last quarter went up by $61 billion to $986 billion in the United States alone. I have no idea how these credit card companies are managing to continue collect interest, knowing that potentially they're not going to get their full amount on the charges back. So comment below if you know a little bit more about that. What happens to credit card debt? Does it get written off by the credit card company? I'm sure there's some type of settlements, etc. But nearly $1 trillion in debt is ridiculous. And what has caused this type of spending is the fact that more and more people are relying on credit cards to afford daily necessities. So overall, not only are people not managing their spending, but they're trying to buy something that they may actually need to survive and hoping that they could pay it down in increments or a little bit later. According to the New York Federal Reserve, the $986 billion is the highest that credit card debt has ever reached. The previous high balance was $927 billion, which was also quite high. So the latest data suggests actually a complete reversal. Pre-pandemic, people were paying their credit cards off. The economy was doing great. A lot of people were closing credit cards that were charging them high interest rates. They were able to roll over accounts, pay off some of that debt, and now people are consuming more. So they are putting more charges on their credit cards and getting themselves back into that debt. Another thing that is extremely expensive is vacationing. During the pandemic, people weren't going anywhere. They weren't spending money. They weren't going out to eat. They were basically staying at home. They were enjoying the bare basics of what the expenses are out there. So overall, as soon as the lockdowns have ended, then people started going out, spending at restaurants again, going to movies, buying things and so forth. So the debt or the credit card spending has increased. And it's a whopping difference. So in 2021, the first quarter balances were around $770 billion. Now keep in mind, we're at $986 billion now. So $200 more billion of debt has been accumulated in just 2 years. That's almost 25%, or that's a 20%, I should say, of credit card debt in 2 years alone. Have you guys ever been late on a credit card bill? I have. I hate it. I always try to make sure they get paid on time, but things do happen. And during this time, people making delinquent payments rose to 5.9% from 5.2% of all credit card users in a 30-day window. And the overly late payments, such as 90 days and more, rose to 4%, which is pretty high. So with credit cards, when you make late payments, they're going to hit you with the late payment fee. They're going to hit you with that whopping interest rate fee, etc. So overall, it's a bad idea. Never pay your credit cards late. In fact, I've made several videos on my channel that talks about never making a late payment in your credit card if you can, which basically means don't spend more than you make, or make sure you have enough funds to cover your credit card bills. I tend to spend about 1% of my credit limit. Therefore, you should have a very high credit limit to continue raising your score. However, you don't want to say spend more than, I would say, $1,000 if you have a 100 grand limit. You know, it sounds crazy, but that's the way to kind of manage it. So to get out of credit card debt, you have to have a strategy. You have to actually maybe have multiple strategies, and we're going to quickly look into some of those. Always pay more than the minimum. You want to end this hellhole that you're in. You want to get out of it. Try to pay more than the minimum to pay down the balance. So if your minimum is, say, 120 bucks a month, try to get to $200. At least you're paying $80 off, say, $1,000 debt that you have, which will potentially take you, 10, 12 months or maybe even more. But overall, you're going to be paying that debt down. And that's kind of how mortgage rates also work, where you pay a lot of interest and some principal down as well. So make sure you're paying more than the minimum. I always tell people, focus on the smallest debt and wipe it out. So if your credit card, if you have 5 credit cards, one of them's $200 in debt, get that out of the picture, pay that one off first, then go to the next lowest. Another thing to consider is always pay the debt that has the highest interest rate first. So if you have a credit card that's $500 and then you have another credit card that's $1,000, but the $1,000 credit card has the highest interest rate, you're better off paying that credit card down first to avoid paying the highest interest rate. Consider debt consolidation or potentially getting a loan to pay off all credit cards at one locked-in interest rate. Go to your bank, see if you qualify for a personal loan, etc. Try to even potentially get a different type of loan that will allow you to consolidate all those credit cards in one bulk debt saving strategy. So overall, if you have 5 credit cards with $1,000 in debt on each, that's $5,000. Try to get a $5,000 loan from someone, from a bank, from credit unions, etc. Just do your best, and even make sure that you're paying off that debt of credit cards and not spending the $5,000 to accumulate even more debt. Personal loans for that are great. So overall, you want to manage that. Also, look into credit cards that have no interest payments for up to a year or more. And what you could do is carry over the balances from all of your credit cards to that one credit card. That buys you a little bit of time to figure your situation out, to buy out that credit card and the debt that is associated with it. Anyway, $986 billion of potential credit card debt out there just shows that the American household is spending money on plastic, money that they potentially don't have. And I don't think people are doing it for mileage or points, which is crazy. So let me know in the comments below, has credit card debt got out of control? Do you see maybe the government stepping in, wiping it out, kind of bailing people out? Or what do you think is going to happen with credit card debt? Are the credit card companies winning or losing with such a high balance? These are all questions that we should debate. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this, subscribe, like. I'll check you guys here in the next video.